And now, you're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
Welcome in to RBLR Sports. My name is Eureka, and I have the honor and the pleasure of filling in for our usual quarterback, Musab. He is on assignment for the week. So, Santiago, my friend, you got me in the chair tonight. What's good, man? How are you?
I'm doing good, Eureka. I'm doing great. Yeah, I know, right? Like it's Musab. Hopefully he feels better. Of course. Hello, RBLR Nation. How is everyone doing out there? It was a beautiful Thursday.
It was.
It's getting a little bit dark now, of course. But it went up to like 80 degrees. It was like so nice here in Florida. And yes, for other people that are in other states in the north, I know, sorry, but it was a little bit chilly for us for Floridians down here, recently. So I mean, it's but yeah, it's gonna be nice talking about some our Buccaneers and stuff like that, and football, and I can't wait.
Yeah,
so how you been?
We just had the Super Bowl. I'll get to your thoughts of that in a second, but it's good to know that we never have an off season really. There's always something to talk about our Buccaneers, and what a wild and crazy off season this has the potential of being. But first and foremost, how did you enjoy the Super Bowl? I know you had predicted the Bengals to win. However, they had the chance with less than 3 minutes to go. They weren't able to seal the deal. What were your big thoughts on the Super Bowl?
Thoughts on the Super Bowl was, wow, what an atmosphere, such a beautiful stadium. Wow, a lot of celebrities in the house, we talked about last week about how it was going to be like, not such a high scoring game, and it ended up being that way. What I mean? Like it was very defensive. Every time that it seemed like the Bengals got the ball, they had that one play, that was for a touchdown face mask that wasn't called. It was controversial, but other than that, like what happened if that would have been called? Like the way the score went, it looks like LA was, playing, doing their thing to, do the point, keep the points going up. And, but it was the halftime show. It brought me back to the good old days. Let's go. Like seeing like Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, obviously 50 Cent, Kendrick Lamar, Mary J. Blige, and of course Eminem, that was like, a lot of people consider him the GOAT, but, of hip hop. And it was just unbelievable. Poor, Joe Burrow getting sacked so many times, just falling on his back the whole time. And that last play, Aaron Donald, I honestly thought like it was going to be down to possibly, yes, I did say the Bengals were going to win. I honestly thought that, Joe Burrow was going to be Joe Cool, number 3, and go down to the end and get the game-winning touchdown. But it didn't occur that way, you know what I mean? Like Aaron Donald came up with the big sack, and all of a sudden, you saw the gesture that he had at the end with the ring and everything, and but we have now the Bucs. We were the first, for everybody to know there, we were the first to do it. So, we became the first team in NFL history to win it at home and in our own stadium. And there are some people that are saying that, they share the stadium. So, but let's, we have to give them due. Like, is their stadium. They play there. The Stan Kroenke paid a lot of money, the owner of that team, to have the party that he had. So again, congratulations to the Los Angeles Rams. They got the second Super Bowl in the trophy case.
Yeah.
So
I mean, look, the Bengals, they just had to run the ball. All they had to do was run the damn ball, control the clock.
I agree.
And not it's dumb a lot of dumb things, a lot of shooting themselves in the foot in that. But it was a big, nice, shiny stadium, but I'm not a big Kroenke fan. So, so congratulations to Von Miller, my boy Von Miller, getting his second ring. Good for him. And other than that, I'm like, yeah. But we're going to talk a lot about this over the course of the next months here in the offseason about, like, I think you had two different ways of constructing your team. The Buccaneers need to figure out which way they want to continue as we go back for another Super Bowl run. Do they spend a ton of money in free agency and trade away future prospects for a win now mentality like the Rams just did? But you also have the Bengals, who maybe overachieved, maybe they maybe shouldn't have even been as far in the playoffs, let alone the AFC Championship, let alone the Super Bowl. But they have a nice young quarterback that looks like they've got a foundation they can build upon with a good young wide receiver and a good, maybe great in the future quarterback. So it's like, these are things that are pulling I think the Bucs. I'm sure there's people that want to do one way and another way. We talked a little bit about that last week. If you guys go back and listen to last week's episode, we kind of talked about what roads the Bucs could go on. And there was a couple of news articles that came out this week that I think we should talk about a little bit. The first, Santiago, goes into one road that we talked about, which is acquiring a veteran, going out and getting, a guy like we talked about, Russell Wilson. But Desean Watson has been rumored to have extreme interest in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. According to ESPN, Watson has the Bucs on his list of teams that he would play for if he was traded. Desean Watson is a guy who did not play a down last year in Houston. He has a lot of legal battles that have still yet to be resolved. However, the Buccaneers, of course, they're asked about this, and they have allegedly been doing, quote, extensive homework. So my question to you, Santiago, is, even if the Bucs bring him in, the price tag is going to be pretty steep. If you're looking, you're going to have to give up multiple first-round draft picks and maybe even a piece or two. So is that kind of what you're thinking? If we bring in Desean Watson, what price is too much to pay, and would you be excited to get Desean Watson?
Well, Eureka, to be honest with you, we already had some issues with a previous quarterback, and that was Jameis Winston, with legal issues, and that honestly, he became the first quarterback in the history of the NFL to throw for 30 touchdowns, 30 TDs. So, do we want to go to that same issue again? As Tampa Bay Buccaneer fans, we don't want to lose. We want to keep winning. We want to have a winning. We want to start something here. And Tom Brady, we started something here. We want to, is it going? It's all about the money, right? But is it going to keeping some of our prospects? Yeah. Can we go into the draft and get something? But what about and we talked about it previously about Russell Wilson. It's like the front office and the people doing the numbers over there with the cap, they have that under control. If they want to get something done, they're going to get something done. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, my thing is,
well, if I'll say, maybe I'll put it to this way. Let's say he gets all the legal stuff taken care of. And that's even a question because, like, he does maybe face a suspension by the league, regardless if he gets this all, tied up in a bow and now he no longer has to go to court about it. There's still maybe some things the league might want to penalize him. So even if the Bucs bring him in, there might be a little bit of a time that we don't get to use him immediately. But just talking about on the field stuff, is Desean Watson the kind of player that you think the Bucs would go all in on in a win now situation?
Possibly. Okay. He was a Desean Watson when he was in Houston. He was a top quarterback. He's a 3-time Pro Bowler. He was an NFL passing yards leader in 2020. So, he can lead a team to victory. Okay. He has many different, collegiate awards as well.
Okay.
And he has more TDs in his career in the NFL than interceptions. So he has right now a total of 104 TDs to 36 interceptions,
Okay.
passing yards 14,539. His completion percentage is 67.8%.
Okay.
His passer rating is 104.5. Rushing yards 1,677, and rushing touchdowns would be 17. So those are statistics for the year 2021.
Okay.
So I mean, as a fan, do I like positive numbers? Yes. You know what I mean? Because that means he knows how to control the ball, and he's mobile. That's something that he can get out. He can get out of difficult situations. So. What do you think? I mean, with all the numbers that I just said right now, Eureka, I mean, would you like to have him on the Buccaneers, with what we just went through these last 2 years? You think maybe he can continue that trajectory? I mean, those are positive numbers, right?
Yeah, look, if they're going down the road of winning now does not include Blaine Gabbert, and winning now does not necessarily include Trask, unless some news comes out that they tell me that like they've been sitting on this golden armed rocket for a whole year because of Tom Brady. But until we really hear that and more importantly see it, they're going to go out and get someone to bring in my opinion. This is just my opinion. And I think Desean Watson is a guy that they could possibly even get at a discount because of all these legal issues. If the Bucs think that everything's going to be all right and just Houston doesn't want to deal with it anymore, they might not have to do 3 first-rounders that's been kind of put out there. They might not have to give up like a huge asset on top of all that draft capital. However, he is still a big name. He is still a big player that has a lot of potential. He's a young player that can hopefully bounce back from if there happen to be some misgivings and things like that he needs to clear up and move on and do better. But these are all woulda, couldas, and maybes. But I think that just in terms of on the field, he is a marked upgrade from Trask and or Gabbert. So yeah, I think the Bucs would see this as a win now move, and they would mortgage the future for it because. We'll get into some of these free agents that the Bucs have to do, but there might be one or two of these guys that they decide like they'll sign and trade them for Desean Watson or a Russell Wilson. But I like Desean Watson on the field. I don't know if he's. I mean, I guess if I had my druthers, I would want Russell Wilson over Desean Watson, but. A little bit of that is just because Russell Wilson is a proven winner that has proven that he can win in the playoffs and so on and so forth. But Desean Watson is a guy that they could bring in and still get maybe 5 or 6 years of prime football out of. So maybe who knows? Like you said, there's a lot. It's up in the air. You never know. But I think this front office is committed to winning. We just don't know what road they want to go down. So. One road they're going to have to figure out what they want to do with pretty soon is Chris Godwin's free agency. According to ESPN, Chris Godwin was quoted as saying that he was excited when free agency is going to start here March 14th. Of course he would be, though. He's about to make a boatload of money. Chris Godwin is a guy the Bucs tagged with the franchise tag last year. They weren't able to work out a longer-term deal. Now Chris Godwin is set to go into free agency. However, Santiago, Chris Godwin is a guy who's returning from a torn ACL and that quarterback situation that I just mentioned. Yeah. It's not exactly clear that who's going to be throwing him the ball next year. So. When you're thinking about this for Chris Godwin, he's looking for a long-term contract. Yeah. What are you thinking are going to be his factors in deciding if he comes to Tampa Bay again or if he decides to play elsewhere?
Well, honestly, that's the big question mark, right, Eureka? I mean, we have to see who's going to be throwing him the ball. You know what I mean? Like that's the number one question. who are we going to see once we get that, solved sooner than later? Then a player like Chris Godwin will make his decision, because Chris Godwin, his stats, he's a Super Bowl champion. He's also, a second team All Pro.
Yeah.
In 2019, he's a Pro Bowl player. In 2019, his stats. He has 342 receptions.
Yeah, he's proven he's going to make a lot of money.
So, I mean, like, he has 29 receiving touchdowns, receiving yards. He has 4,643. So, he's a person that we all know on the field. He's going to make plays. And, a quarterback loves that type of player because it makes his job a lot easier, that he can be open. He can make a play. He can go, he can, be fast. He can be smart, and all of a sudden, that's what obviously Chris Godwin wants, someone that be like, hey, if I'm in a difficult situation, with two cornerbacks trying to block me, can this quarterback, maybe do something if I move? Can I make a play, a first down when needed at the end of the game, beginning of the game? Can I do that? So, at the end of the day, Eureka, I mean, to be honest with you, like, do you agree with me? Do you agree with me that it really depends? Because if it's Kyle Trask, if it's, maybe Blaine Gabbert, I don't think so, honestly. Maybe he's going to test somewhere else, and, who else, what other teams, like, maybe I'm not going to throw teams out there, but, everybody in the NFL is looking at, a player like Chris Godwin, to bring into their organization.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, well, if you're Chris Godwin, let's put yourself in his shoes, okay? Like, what do you want to see the Bucs do? Like, I not like a long. Don't give me a super detail, but like, how do you pitch if the Bucs are coming to you as Chris Godwin? Right now, they have Kyle Trask and Blaine Gabbert at the quarterback. Like, how do you pitch that as like, okay, this is why it's going to still be good, or is there no way that Chris Godwin's going to come back unless they go get a bigger name quarterback?
Well, it all, I'm not sure, because like I was saying previously in previous episodes, in previous, last week and the previous before, I said specifically, like, when I was looking at Kyle Trask, like he hasn't played a down in the NFL. And that's something that, as a player, you're going to want somebody that is kind of, maybe have some, kind of an experience.
Yeah,
but,
right.
Well,
maybe they've played. I mean, they've played in practice together, so maybe he's already seen what Trask can do, but. Look, I guess that what I'll say is, like, look, Chris Godwin's 25 years old. He's going to be looking for a long-term contract, and that long-term contract's going to probably be in the $18 million a year range. We're talking $70 million that the Bucs are going to have to pay up. But do you think that there's even is it likely that he comes back, or do you think someone's going to pay him 18, 19, maybe even $20 million a year to bring in Chris Godwin, a number one wide receiver type, where we've had the luxury of having him behind Mike Evans? I mean, do you think that there's a way that Chris Godwin goes away is more likely than sticking around? As bad as that sounds, I mean, you tell me. Am I? I'm a little more pessimistic on this, to be honest with you. Like, I don't think the Buccaneers are going to figure out. I mean, they better figure it out quickly, because March 14th is less than a month away. So either they're going to make a trade and get a quarterback, or they're going to say we're sticking with who we got, and but we're going to maybe pay just a ton of money to keep Godwin in. There's a lot of options on that table, man. What do you think's the most likely?
What do I think the most likely is? To be honest with you, I honestly believe that if he already knows the organization. He knows Jason Light. He knows
Yeah.
Bruce Arians.
Yeah.
He knows the core of coaches. He knows the coaches that he's been with the last few years. That he's been with Tom Brady. So with honestly, if he gets a nice big piece of money, I believe maybe that let's say if I'm going to give an example, right? If the Cleveland Browns, who have never been to the Super Bowl, give him a pile of money. I'm not saying he's going to go there, but sometimes players do that. They go to teams that because of the money, they know it's a security for them. They go for that, and can they flourish? Possibly. Can they not? Maybe, but they know they got that, they have the money, that guarantee. I'm not positive. I would have to, look into that a little bit more, but, with Chris Godwin, it really depends on what players are around him. We already know, possibly, Mike Evans is going to be here. He's a leader, he knows Chris. So he's going, hey, are you going to stay? Are you going to go? What do you think? I mean, what can happen? I mean, what do you think a player is deciding? He's a young man. He's young. He's in his 20s. But when you get a lot of money, given to you, you're like, whoa. It's pretty tempting, to go to maybe another team. Right?
Sure. I mean, it really is going to come down to what's the most money you're going to put in my paycheck, and who's throwing me the ball. So those are the things that we don't know the answer to right now. I would assume that if the Bucs are trying to sell him on Trask or try to sell him on Gabbert, that hopefully there was good chemistry in practice with those two. Hopefully there was some kind of assurances that Trask is going to grow into this big name guy, or they're just going to try to overpay to keep Godwin here. And he might just be happy making, $18 million, $19 million in his paycheck, and he doesn't care who's throwing him the ball because he's getting paid. And either way, they'll figure it out. Hopefully, either this guy's gonna be good or they're gonna get another guy. So that's between them and their agent, right? But really, I think those are the key things. So, but I mean, man, so much is up in the air, and really it's because we have uncertainty at the quarterback position. And because of that, we have seen some early power rankings as we move on. A lot of this Godwin and Trask and Russell Wilson and Desean Watson and, oh my God, who are we bringing in?
Yeah.
A lot of that has impact on what kind of other publications and what other big name outlets have confidence in the Buccaneers. So I thought it'd be fun to talk about 3 different power ranking roundups that have come out in this last week. The first that I'll talk about is from NFL.com. They have the Buccaneers ranked 19th in the NFL, just above the Dolphins, who were a very underwhelming team last year, but just below the Saints. They have the Saints at 18th, the Bucs at 19th, the Atlanta Falcons at 26th, and the Carolina Panthers almost dead last at 30th. Do you think, how would you feel like if I had to just kind of ask you how you felt the Buccaneers are as a franchise right now without Tom Brady? I think they're falling from the top, 5. I think everyone would agree the Buccaneers were a top 5 NFL team last year. But where do you think, if you had to put a number on it, where would you rank the Buccaneers right now?
If let's say Tom, the problem is with the Bucs, honestly, is that even when Jameis was around, we've always had good players.
Yeah,
it's just we could never have a decent, I mean, we would have a quarterback like Jameis Winston. He was great in college, Florida State, but he could never make really smart decisions on the ball. under pressure. He would
Sure.
run out of bounds. He
Sure.
would try to be mobile, and he would try to be mobile, and then he would force a pass. He would force a, it would just, and it would be, maybe loss of yardage, interception. That's so frustrating,
Right.
So I honestly, my opinion is I don't think the Bucs are 19th. Honestly,
Okay.
I honestly believe that they can be more than that. Possibly top 10. Honestly, that's what I do believe. Tom Brady is an ace. That's like the ace of diamonds. You know what I mean? Like that's like the best card in the in the deck. But he said he came to Tampa because it was a no-brainer. Maybe because of the players that we have.
Mm-hmm.
So if we get a Russell Wilson, we're definitely not 19th.
Right,
honestly.
right. I think that definitely does change. I don't know if they're 19th. I mean, 19th is bottom third in the league, okay?
Yeah.
I don't know about all that. Well, I'll give you CBS Sports here. CBS Sports kind of agrees with you right now. CBS Sports has the Buccaneers right now as the 9th best team in the league, so that's the top third of the league. Just below the Dallas Cowboys, but just above the New England Patriots, the Cardinals, and the Eagles, which those were teams that kind of were overperforming, I think, last year. They have New Orleans as 18th, so that's the bottom half of the league, and Atlanta and Carolina in the bottom third. Atlanta at 23rd, Carolina 26th. I mean, nobody's really high on Atlanta or Carolina at all. It really, I think, the question is, where do you see the Saints, who just lost their head coach, and they have a lot of uncertainty, especially at their quarterback position. What are they going to do? A lot of uncertainty in this division. So this is kind of where I'll give you my opinion, where I'm like, I don't know if we're 19th. Okay, I don't know if we're, even with a Gabbert or a Trask, I don't know if we're in the bottom third of the league. I don't think we're a top 10 team though at all. I do not think. I think we're somewhere in the middle. I think that literally 15th is where I would say you have a defense that has aging old guys that you need to figure out if they're going to stick around for another year, and you have uncertain youth on the defense. The offense isn't the problem. It's just that right now our engine, whatever part of the car you want to say Tom Brady was, whether he was the guy driving the car or he was the engine of the car, that's not there anymore. So now it's like, well, you got Mike Evans, you might have Chris Godwin, you maybe will have Gronkowski, you'll probably not, but you may be bringing back like a Fournette. We'll talk about him in a little bit later. But really, that's the uncertainty. So that's where I'm like, I have it dead in the middle. I'm like, I think we're better than the worst teams. I do not think we're as good as the elite, contending teams until they make a move and put a better quarterback in the thing. So, CBS Sports agrees with you, though. 9th, below the Cowboys, above the Patriots. But what do you think where I was saying? Kind of in the middle is where I have them.
Yeah,
right now, as we sit here in February.
As of right now, this moment right now, I honestly believe that if I would look at, without jumping too much into the numbers, Eureka.
Please don't.
I'm not going to jump into numbers. No. But if I just look at how we've done and the players that we've had, we are better than any within our rivals in our division. So I would still put us in first place, which means that would be playoffs, because when you win your division, that is the playoffs.
Right.
And so, that would be a wild card game, because that's how they have it now. It's not just, it's not the bye, you know what I mean? So with that, I don't know, would you like to, Eureka, maybe put like a how many games to win? How many, a win-loss game? Would you like to go into that a little bit? How many games do you think that the Bucs will win next year?
Well, look, if you just say they're not going to go out and get some high-priced free agent that's going to overtake someone on the starting roster right now. And we're going to assume, right, that they draft guys that are at least that are going to play, right? So it's basically this is the team that we have right now. All the major key players that are on this team right now are playing. Yeah, I have us right at 500. Or I mean, you can't go 500 anymore, but like and we're talking Kyle Trask or Blaine Gabbert that's playing quarterback. I think the ceiling is 9 wins in that scenario. I'm pretty pessimistic in terms of like playoffs and whatever. And there's those are the things that they'd have to change my mind on through good play, right? So
Yeah.
that's exactly where I would have. I'd have us at like, I guess 9-8 would be the record that you would go, or maybe even 8-9,
8-9,
and not making the playoffs. So
I gotcha.
that's kind of where I have them.
I'm gonna go a little bit because I honestly believe myself. I want us to have more of a winning record than just a losing record.
Yeah.
So I would like to see. Would it be a 10 and would it be 10 and 6?
10-7.
10-7.
You have one more game, so like it's
so one more game
since they added one more game. So it's like if you thought 10-6, it'd be like 10-7 or 11-7 or something.
Yeah, 11-7. So I would say like 10 wins, 10-7.
10-7,
and then
okay.
and then if let's say the rest of the division are worse, then I would say I would be happy with obviously a first place. That's how I look at it. I want to see us in first place and get out. And then once we get into the wild card, whether it be home or away, to see how we would do. How would we perform under the pressure of having our fan base be like, okay, because that's what people say in all sports. Like, oh, you had such and such player, everybody wants to buy the jerseys and stuff like that, but I want to, like I've said this previous podcasts, like I want us to still have, that allure. I want us to fill Raymond James Stadium. I want us to, have that thing of like people talking good about our team. I feel good about our team. I want us to, like to be portrayed positively, like even in the media, like oh, the Bucs, like when they talk about the top elite teams in the NFL, like the Bucs can go to the playoffs, or I hope, I know you feel the same way, Eureka, right? Like, definitely.
I would say that I am, I'm more thinking that I think that it's more of a chance that the Buccaneers do not have a very great season next year, no matter what they decide. Because I think that, and I guess I'll throw the ESPN thing. So ESPN was the third that I really looked up. They had us 14th. We're kind of where I'm talking about, just below the Colts, which they have their own quarterback situation to go through right now. I mean, Carson Wentz is just not there anymore. They let him go. I mean, he's maybe a guy that the Bucs might pick up as kind of a veteran. As an upgrade, but so below the Colts and just above the Raiders, who just fired their head coach, and now they've got a whole new regime in Vegas with McDaniels and some of the Patriot guys coming over, and they have New Orleans at 22nd, bottom third in the league, Atlanta at 24th, bottom, and Carolina at 29th, and this is where I think that even if the Bucs aren't a great football team, which I think the window is closed. Once Brady's gone, that window is closed in terms of Super Bowl, unless they go get a big name, surefire starting quarterback. Okay, if they run with some retread like Ryan Fitzpatrick, if they run with even Carson Wentz, if they run with Gabbert and Trask, right? I believe that we are like I said, 9-win ceiling team, but 6 of those wins are probably going to come within the division. I mean, basically you're fighting amongst the lower third of the division for 6 games of the league in your division for 6 games. So if you beat Carolina twice, you beat Atlanta twice, and you beat the Saints twice, you maybe pick up 3 to 4 more wins the rest of your schedule, and then get blown out by the best teams. And maybe you make the playoffs, great, but you're not going to win the Super Bowl. You're going to get blown out the first week, and then you're right in the middle. And this is my doomsday scenario. It's absolutely the doomsday scenario where we're just good enough to make the playoffs, we're not good enough to actually win it, and we're not bad enough to do anything to build upon it for the future. So it's like, oh no. And if we went and, God forbid, traded assets to bring in some mid-level quarterback. I'm very pessimistic on that out. That's my doomsday scenario, is that we're just good enough to do nothing, right? And we're like, and then we, and maybe we didn't find out that Trask was good, or we didn't find out. We already know Gabbert's not a 10, 11 win quarterback, so it's like we kind of already know that. So unfortunately, man, I think I disagree with I if we won 10 games but didn't figure out anything about the future, that would be as I sit here right now, that would be a disappointment. But if Trask was the quarterback and we won 10 or 11 games, now we're talking. That's a different story, man. Now we're like, damn, maybe we got something here. Now there are some shades of gray outside of just winning 10 or 9 games. It really would come down to was there personal growth with these young players? Did our young secondary, turn great? Because otherwise we're just kind of wasting Mike Evans's prime of his career, of his Hall of Fame career.
Yeah, and I mean no, and the thing is about Trask and everything, and something off of ESPN here, it says that Trask's playing style is somewhat similar to Brady's.
Sure.
He's decisive with where he wants to go with the ball.
Okay.
And gets it out quickly and accurately. There had been outside questions about his arm strength, but the Bucs say they have no concerns. Aaron's gushed about his comeback against Georgia last season when the Gators had been down 14-0, and Trask threw for 474 yards and 4 touchdowns. Trask was, as Arians put it, throwing dimes down the sideline. So, when I see that, I mean, yes, and we've said it previously, Eureka, and I said it previously as well, that college football is a different beast from the NFL.
Right.
It is a different beast, So, those statistics are playing young men, in college, in a team, in a university that has a program. Yes, RBLR Nation, I understand that the Gators have been, they haven't won national titles like in Alabama in the last decade. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So,
to be fair, their quarterback prospects that they've put out in the NFL haven't exactly lit the world on fire. I don't think people look at Florida's quarterbacks as a factory of good quarterbacks that come out of there.
Yeah, I mean, was Tim Tebow an inspirational person, and he's been a person.
Yeah, he's his own bag of worms.
But I mean, you're right, and I agree with you on that, Eureka. I completely agree with you. A Mac Jones in New England at the moment. Where did he come out of?
Yeah, Alabama. Yeah.
So I mean, it's Alabama has a fact.
Burrow at LSU, that's
exactly.
Yeah.
Again, we both agree that LSU, Alabama, top programs.
So
the Gators
do you think
have been.
You had said you think the Bucs are I think you want to believe they're a top 10 team. Do you think they're still up there with if they're okay, Trask is our quarterback and this is who we're going with? Do you think Trask with this roster would win 10, 11 games and win the division and go to the playoffs, that kind of thing?
To be honest with you, I want to see how he does in his first game.
Okay.
You know what I mean? On that first set of downs, you know what I'm saying? The first set of downs, the first 2 sets, and how he's, now, and I want to see him do well, under pressure with a team, because we have them next year coming up. We're playing them next year, which will be the Super Bowl champions from now. Which are the LA Rams. And we're playing against Kansas City, against Patrick Mahomes. So I want to see him play against teams like that. Because I can say a lot, but if he's just, I just read right now he was throwing dimes from Bruce Arians is out, from what Bruce Arians said, but I want to see him throw dimes and quarters and stuff like that, in the NFL, everybody does, we want that to happen, we want him to throw over 400 yards, and 4 TDs. If you do that in the NFL,
Sure.
okay,
Sure. Sure.
right, Eureka, you're like saying, okay, Patrick Mahomes, because if you look at the power ranking and you saw it, Eureka, and like I saw it, who do they have as number one? Kansas City.
Yeah, of course.
Why?
Yes.
Patrick Mahomes, because
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes was drafted and he was immediately put in there.
Yeah.
And he shined. He won a Super Bowl. He went to another Super Bowl, lost to Tom Brady. He was close to going to another Super Bowl this past year, but he lost to he lost to Joe Burrow, But
Yeah.
again, we have to wait. That's the waiting game. Everybody's like nervous. Like it's the waiting game. The butterflies. We want the NFL draft to come and see who we're gonna get in the draft. And we're like you said, we're gonna talk about that later on. We're gonna have plenty of time, RBLR Nation. We're not gonna get into details about that right now because it's gonna be a lot of analyze. We're gonna see we're gonna look at what's being said.
Well, we've talked a lot about the quarterback situation really is the linchpin of this whole of where we're ranked in the NFL. How we're gonna look at top name free agents that want to come and be here. But one thing that is for sure is that whoever the quarterback is, they would look a lot better wearing one of our T-shirts from the shop.rblrsports.com, where we just launched our Year of the Tiger T-shirts. I've got a little guy we're calling Trophy the Tiger. He is wearing the colors of our soccer, football, hockey, baseball teams. It's a really fun project that we had a really good artist work on it, and it was. I'm very proud of these. I think they're really cool. Those are right now available at shop.rblrsports.com. If you use the promo code CANNONS, CANNONS, as in fire the cannons, we're going to give you 10% off your order. So again, we've got cool T-shirts that are celebrating all of the wonderful sports teams that we talk about here at RBLR. So, of course, we're asking you to pony up a couple bucks to help us here at the pod, and every T-shirt helps, and it's awesome. So we thank you, and hope that you use the promo code CANNONS to get 10% off your order. Moving on from power rankings, I think a lot of the power rankings would go up if we were able to bring back some of the bigger named free agents that we have on this roster from last year that we want to bring in. So I think there's about 5 guys that I'm gonna ask you about here, Santiago. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tell you kind of where Pro Football Focus and where a few of these outlets have projected the price tag to be for these free agents. And I kind of want to get your feeling on the player, but also if that price tag, which always goes up, it always goes up. The price tag never goes down a lot of times. If these price tags are worth it for the Bucs to bring them back. And again, the Bucs have a lot of cap room to maneuver, so let's not think of any of these individually as making or breaking the bank, okay? But you tell me. First off, I'm going to talk about Ryan Jensen. Ryan Jensen is a guy who's 31 years old next season. He's a steady presence on the line. But we do have Tristan Wirfs, who has a contract coming up soon in the next couple of years. So if at the price tag of 3 years, $39 million, so it's $13 million per year, would you give Ryan Jensen, who's kind of an aging guy, but a steady presence, right? There's good and bad. $13 million would rank as the second most highest paid center in the league. Would you make that deal right now for Ryan Jensen?
Eureka. You know what I learned about seeing Ryan Jensen these last couple of years with Tom Brady? He protected the quarterback.
Okay.
Like that, and that's something that it's a piece that we're missing right now, and it's a piece that we have to, when we have to protect, because I want us to still have, when we go to the Super Bowl again, I don't want us to have a losing record in this, like a losing win-loss record in the Super Bowl. At this moment, we have 2 Super Bowls.
Yep.
and we won 2 Super Bowls. So
That sounds
I want to go to
beautiful.
that. That sounds amazingly gorgeous. And those sparkling diamonds, like,
Yeah.
and those rubies and stuff like that, and that design and everything, like that is amazing. And,
Yeah.
like I've seen the records of a lot of these teams. And it's not. Yeah, we have won this, but look at your win-loss record. I want I want us to keep winning, and winning
Sure.
is the name of the game. But going back to your question, Eureka, not to get too off track, looking here at some stats, of Mr. Ryan Jensen,
Okay.
the one who played center. He's played a total in his career NFL stats. He has played a total of 99 games played 99.
Okay.
Games started 89. So,
Sure.
that's a lot of experience.
Yeah, he would be the starter,
and
and I mean, look, $13 million. Like I said, he'd be the second highest paid center in the league if they gave him that, right? So yeah, you're definitely giving him that deal to be the starter. But is that too much? Do you think they would move on? Like, you got Robert Hainsey sitting there, man. What are you thinking?
Yeah, like think like Tom Brady. Like if you want to have good players around you, and plus we have to deal with a salary cap. Like, yeah, you want to get paid, but you're still gonna get paid. But like, let's see how we can keep the core. Like a Tristan Wirfs or Robert Hainsey. Because those are players that they want to get paid too. I mean, it's about the money. It's about money. I completely understand that.
Sure.
But
I think you pay him. I think you pay him, buddy. I'll
pay him?
answer it for
You pay
you.
him?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Make him the second
Yes.
best. He's a solid force. Yeah, he's dealing maybe everyone's hurt at some point, and maybe he's getting a little up there. By the time his next contract is up, he definitely won't be making $13 million a year at age 35 or something like that. But right now, especially if you're going to put an inexperienced quarterback back there. Hell yeah. And if you're going to bring in a veteran, even more of a reason to try to shore up the line. You definitely don't want some guy you're going to draft to be your starting center unless he's like the God's gift to playing the line.
Yeah.
Of course. But yeah, like you said, he's a starter. He's a solid presence. And if we want to keep the train rolling, I think you spend a little bit of money on Ryan Jensen to keep him here. That's my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
and I'll agree. Look, analyzing it like that. Yeah, I mean, we definitely want to have that rock in the middle. So
that would bring me. I have the same question about the guy sitting right next to him, which is Alex Kappa, another free agent, projected to make about $9 million a year. He's probably going to want another long-term deal. He's been projected to get a 4-year, $37 million, so that's $9.25 million. That would make him a top 5 right guard. Do you think Alex Kappa is a top 5 right guard and worth paying money in that instance?
Yeah, I mean he's 27 years old,
okay.
Right? He's young. He's still young.
Okay.
He has being that he's 27, he does have a lot of experience in the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, he's played a total of 52 games and started 46. So, being that he's a good player and he's on there, I could definitely see him come. I would like to see him back. You have 2 core guys right there for that amount. Yes.
Okay.
I say a yes because that's another pillar to protect the quarterback.
I agree too.
Yes.
I agree too. There is like when you get good players, and if you have designated that these are good offensive linemen, like top 5, top 10 guys, you pay them whatever you can to keep them, unless you got something really, really crazy that they know something we don't know about that's going to replace them. So I think that you're always going to have to take away from one area to give these guys a lot of money. I'll get into that a little bit as we go on, but in this scenario, yeah, I'm absolutely paying Alex Kappa and Ryan Jensen top dollar to keep them on the line. But here's another position still on the offense though. A guy that I think you're big on. That's Lenny, playoff Lenny, regular season Lenny. Off-season Lenny right now is free agent Lenny. That's Leonard Fournette.
Yeah.
projected for another maybe a 2-year deal worth about $8 million a year. But my question to you, Santiago, is like, would Leonard Fournette want to re-sign with the Bucs now that Brady's not here? And if he was going to come back, should the Bucs invest $8 million a year in Leonard Fournette?
Well, we also have to look at Eureka. That the running back position is a ground and pound position. It's a very physical position. So, injuries we don't want injuries to happen. He's a big dude. He's a physical specimen. So, looking at some of his statistics here, he has right now for his NFL career, he has 3,810 rushing yards, an average of 4 yards per carry, 31 rushing touchdowns, 239 receptions. Receiving yards is 1,696, and receiving touchdowns is 4. So, he is a weapon. He is a weapon. So, to answer your question, would I pay him to stay? Yes, because of the fact that he can. We can't always throw the ball.
Yeah. Why?
Interceptions. He gives us the yardage. Like if we need that down to get that 1 yard to get that first down, he can get it. He can get us and more. There are sometimes running backs that they can't do that. They don't. Why he had issues in Jacksonville. They said he was like a locker room cancer, but he's been fantastic here, and I like him. So I definitely I want to see him back.
Yeah, I would think that this is an area where they look to get cheaper. They've also got Ronald Jones and Giovanni Bernard was a guy they tried to bring in and do something. I don't think they're going to bring him back either. But I think this is an area that the Bucs are going to get younger and cheaper at. And if they do bring back a Leonard Fournette, it won't be at top dollar. Which again, would he even want to come back for the amount of money that they want to pay? Because I'm thinking he'd be in the $6 million, $5 million range even. And at this point, that's like he's only got a couple more. How many more years does Fournette have to play at top dollar? So they're just being realistic about it. Like, I love Leonard Fournette. I think that he did a great job here. That wasn't without ups and downs, but at the end of it, it's been a success here as a Buccaneer. And I don't know if $8 million is where I would peg him, and I don't think he wants to play for less than what he can get. So would some other team pay him $8 million? Then I think that's the more realistic, and that's just my opinion. So,
Yeah.
But moving on to the other side of the ball, though, there's two guys I do want to bring up. That is a guy that probably is going to get the franchise tag, and that is Carlton Davis, a cornerback. Carlton Davis, projected to make about $17 million on the franchise tag. I believe that the Bucs are going to want to try to work out a longer-term deal with him. That would obviously make more sense. They haven't been able to do it so far, and I think that they're definitely not going to let a high-profile guy like him walk. So I believe that the Bucs are going to apply the franchise tag to him. Do you think that that's a smart move, and do you think Davis is worth $17 million for the Bucs?
Yeah, that's a very important area. Obviously offense is important, but very important is defense. And I'm looking at statistics here. Carlton Davis has in his career, he has 205 tackles, forced fumbles is 2, fumble recoveries is 3, pass deflections is 51, interceptions is 6. So what does that mean? Man, he knows how to key in on quarterbacks, like on the opposite side of the field, to try and read them, to try and force their wide receivers not to catch the ball, and so I believe honestly, he should definitely get my opinion is that he should get the franchise tag.
Yeah.
Because we have to solidify that position. Because it's very important. That makes a decision on us going to the Super Bowl. To be honest with you, because every year in the NFL draft, we want to, there are going to be young players coming out of that draft that are hungry, and some of them are going to be like like a Carlton Davis, like with even more possibly more impressive stats, But hey, right now we have him, and plus Carlton Davis is 25 years old.
Yeah.
So he's 6'1", 206 pounds, so he's tall. So I mean he's definitely somebody that I would definitely at this moment would keep right now.
Yeah, I think an important number to think about is that if he were to hit the open market, he's probably worth almost $20 million a year. like just being honest. And I say that because if you look at what Jalen Ramsey got a couple of years ago, if you look at his production at the same amount of time played and his value and things like that, Carlton Davis absolutely is in that same mold, and I believe that he would be he would just get the moon. Like I said, about 20 million or more, even if he were able to go in the free agent market. And so I think that the best thing for the Bucs to do is to keep him undervalued here for 17 million. And still be able to keep him under contract to work out a longer term deal. I really think the franchise tag is more about just elongating the window of available time to talk, rather than lose him for nothing or let him go where he's going to make. Someone's absolutely would pay him $3 or $4 million more than that a year to have him. So. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
The other guy I want to talk about, the other guy I want to talk about is Jordan Whitehead. This is a guy that I don't think Jordan Whitehead is a elite level safety, but I believe that for the current projection that they have him coming in at 3 years, about $6 million a year, so that's an $18 million contract. To be honest with you, I think that's a pretty good valuation of what he's worth and what the Bucs should pay to keep a member of their young but growing secondary together. I believe they're going to draft a couple guys, regardless, to kind of shore up the back end of the roster in the secondary. They might even go get a veteran, kind of like they tried to do with Sherman. That didn't work out because of injuries, but I believe they're going to maybe overpay a veteran to come in and kind of be a mentor. But Jordan Whitehead is a guy that I think can still play and might be worth $6 million. So do you think that's a good projection? And are you paying Whitehead $6 million to stick around with the Bucs?
Yeah, I honestly believe so. You're right. What you just said right now, he's he's still a good safety. Looking at statistics from him, compared to what we just did with Carlton Davis, he has total 268 tackles, 2.0 sacks, forced fumbles is 2, fumble recoveries is 2, interceptions is 4, pass deflections is 5. Pass deflections is 21. I'm sorry, but it's not as much as a Carlton Davis.
Yeah.
But he still gets the job done. So yeah. I would pay him what he is, what they're saying that he is going to be given. So I wouldn't go more than that.
If some team comes in wanting to give him $8-9 million, I think that we get out of the negotiation at that point. But if they're able to bring him in for less than $7 million a year, I think that's a smart move to keep a guy in the building that I think we all like. I think Whitehead's. He's had some ups and some downs, but he came up huge in the playoffs last year, and I think that was I hope that wasn't a fluke. I hope that he's a solid player for the Bucs for a long time to come. So that was fun.
Yeah.
It was a little bit of a kind of playing with a little numbers there, but I think that there are some guys we definitely want to keep and pay as much as we can, and there's a couple guys that if the price is right, we'll bring back, but. This is the NFL, and unfortunately, that is a business. So, as much as you want to keep all these guys forever, money talks, and sometimes money is they got to figure out who they're going to keep and who they're not going to keep. So, any final thoughts? We talked about a little bit of free agency of guys we want to keep. I think that it's going to be important as we move on to look at kind of where the holes are in this team. Are there any final thoughts that you have about some of the guys we've talked about today, whether that's Godwin or whether that's, the guys on the line or playoff Lenny or guys in the secondary? Any final thoughts you want to bring up before we get out of here?
Well, I would just like them to, it's a business. I completely understand that, but I would just like for them to, understand that, you're a good core of players, I want you to think about that. Hey, we just need literally a few pieces and we can be back at the big dance. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to start from zero, I completely understand, but you're still going to get paid. You're still going to get paid a good chunk of money, fellas. So, and I would love to see you guys all wearing the pewter, the creamsicles, and maybe you can go on the RBLRshop.com and get a shirt, you know what I mean, or get some merchandise, for you and your family. You know what I mean, maybe your girl.
I would gladly throw in a free shirt to these guys if they stick around at a hometown discount.
Yeah, right.
They'll get a care package. I'll take it. I'll bring it right to the front door and everything.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. I agree.
I want to thank, my final thoughts is I want to thank all of you. If you stuck around this long, thank you. I'm going to ask you for one more thing. If you could hit that follow button, if you're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, hit that follow. We have, hundreds and hundreds of people that follow us. You can be the next one. Please, it is the cheapest free thing you can do to help us grow. Also, wherever you're listening to this right now, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, if you're on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and you're going to get our content as soon as it drops without having to miss a beat, without having to find the link that someone's tweeting. You can get it right in your inbox. Just hit that like button, hit that follow button or subscribe button. So from all of us here at RBLR Sports, I had a blast jumping in the chair here. Musab should be back next week, man. Santiago, thank you again. A great episode as we build you here in the off season, and I can't wait to get into your thoughts about bringing in new free agents, maybe even the draft picks that are going to be coming up. I can't wait to hear you two talk about all those and more as we get going. So from all of us here at RBLR Sports, there's only one more thing to say, and that's thank you and go Bucs.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.